So, good morning to all of you. From today onwards, I'm going to start your videos. Means I'll be uploading the videos for your classes. Means class 10, and I'm going to start with Part B, Unit 3. And the first chapter over there is Chapter 10, Database Management System. So, about database, already you people have read in junior classes what it is, how it is maintained, what are the different types of maintaining the databases, and what are the advantages of maintaining a database management system. So today, the same thing in a better way, or I can say it will be elaborated, and you will come to know the advantages, disadvantages, types of keys which can be there in a database, and how it is maintained. Okay, so let's start with this. First thing which you must know that what is a database. Okay, so here two terms you need to know first: what is data and what is information. Okay, if I'll ask you, there is a girl, there is a girl and she scored 80%, but you don't know which class, which examination, and which school she belongs. So this will become a data. But if you will process it that Aditi of this school in AI SSC examinations, she scored 80%. So this line will become an information. That is the difference between data and information. Okay, now what is a database? When you arrange all this data which you are getting in a systematic manner, which is in the form of tables, right? Till now you all had used Excel where you were storing the data in the form of tables. Tables in the sense you had rows, columns, and cells where the actual data was being entered. So in that format, if you store the data, it becomes easier for you to store, retrieve, to manipulate. Anything can be done on large set of data easily. Okay, so basically a database is a collection of one or more tables which stores data in a in systematic manner. And table, which I was talking about, database consists of tables. So basically a table is a collection of rows and columns. Okay, so if you can see this table which I am having here on the screen, these are the vertical partitions are known as columns. So here roll number, name, marks in English, marks of Hindi, marks of maths. These are the column headings, and these headings are known as attributes also, or in other words, these are also known as fields of the table. Okay, then the rows. Rows are known as the records. Okay, because one row you can say that you can see that it is storing information about a particular object. Like this row shows information or represents information about roll number 1. His name is Sandeep. He scored 89 in English and 79 in Hindi and 60 in maths. So all together, this is the record of student whose roll number is 1. So this is known as a record. Okay, so rows are referred to as records. These are referred to as records, and these are also named a single record, a single row, a complete single row is known as a tuple. Records other name is also known as tuple. Okay, these all are related. Means if I'll say that here in between I have entered some bus number, or you can say the mobile phone company, so it will not relate to that student. That data doesn't belong to that student, so it will not be part of this table. Only the related information of a particular object, here we are talking about students, so all the details which are stored in a record or in different columns are belonging to a particular student only. So these are columns, and these headings are known as attributes or fields also. So don't get confused between these terms. And these are the records, and a single record is also known as a tuple. Okay, so let me read it for you. Columns are referred to as fields. A field describes a specific property of a record. That is why a field is also known as an attribute. An attribute is a piece of information about an object. For example, a roll number is an attribute or field in the student's table. A set of characters that represents a valid value is known as a data. This complete table can be said as a data. Or in between, if you were fetching something like 79, Sandeep, Dipti, all these are data. Here, one interesting thing I would like to tell you that this data is a plural form, and in singular form, data is known as datum. It's not given in your book. This extra information I'm providing you. Data's singular form is datum. That's DATUM. Okay, so let's move further. Here, who uses the database? If it is created, then who uses the database? Basically, three people are involved. Let me give you an example of our school only. Suppose we have purchased, we want a software for this online teaching. Right now we are using Google Meet, but now we want a proper software where examination and all can be conducted easily. Like that day, Extra Marks conducted one webinar for you people, and I think you all had attended. So there, the company who develops the software for us, means the user is the developer. So he is the creator or the designer of the database. Then that developer will give the full authorization to someone in the organization who can handle the database completely. Like in our school, someone from office like Raghavan sir and all will be controlling the entire database. And then the final end users are there who will be means using the database. So here in that case, teachers are the final users or end users of that database. So developer, the company, let me give an example. Extra Marks is the company who developed the software. Administrator, who is having the whole and sole control of the database, and he is only responsible for providing privileges to other users. Like four teachers are there and one of the teacher wants to manipulate the data also. So that access, that privilege, that permission will be provided by the administrator only. So if he provides that permission, then that person will be, that end user will be eligible to make any modification in the database. So basically there are three users of database. One is developer, second is administrator, and last is end users. Okay, so next is database management system. Till now we concentrated on database. Now how this database is managed digitally. Till now, when we suppose we have that library management system in our school, it is manually managed. So when it will be stored in digitally in computer, so that will become database management system. So database management system is a computerized record keeping system or a software that enables you to create, store, modify, and extract information from a database. It allows different user application programs to access the same database concurrently. The main function of DBMS is to provide the users with efficient and reliable methods of data storage, modification, and retrieval. Basically, why do we maintain the database computerized one? Because everything becomes very easier to handle. Whether it is any modification, any deletion, any retrieval, some more data has to be stored, everything can be done very easily in comparison to the traditional way of managing the database, which was through big registers where manually everything was managed. So based on the data, there are two categories or two ways to organize your DBMS. One DBMS where a single file contains the entire data. You don't have multiple tables in a single table. Like if I'm talking about the student management system, in a single table I write his name, roll number, admission number, parents details, contact details, bus information, his marks in different semesters, everything will be stored in a single table. So no multiple tables won't be there, so no relation between the tables will be created. A single table will be there, so no relation is required between or among different tables. So a flat file database management system is stored in a single table with the plain text format. The fields in the records are separated using delimiters like comma, semicolon, tab, space, all these can be used. It is usually suitable for less amount of data. But in case we have 2000, 2500 students whose data has to be managed, it will be difficult to store it in a single file. So we'll go for relational database system where small tables are created for storing the data, and all these tables are linked to each other based on the common fields. Let me give you an example. Suppose student database you have stored. for a particular class where roll number can be a unique key. Okay, unique, I'll explain that also. Roll number, name of the student, and another table I created roll number and percentage. So these two tables can be connected. Those two tables can be connected to each other. Okay, so those type of databases where tables are linked to each other are known as relational database management system, and these are basically used for medium to large amount of data. Then comes, what are the advantages of database management system? See, one by one the explanation I'll be giving, try to understand, and from after that you will read whatever given in your book. Okay, first one, enforcement of data standards, very important. Suppose you're maintaining the database manually and there is a one column, date of birth of the child. So sometimes you're writing, like, let's say for example, one student's date of birth is 1st of August 1983. So somewhere you wrote that for 1st August 1982, but in some other place you wrote that 01 by 08 slash 1983. So different formats of writing the same thing you're following. So when you access the data, you will be getting somewhere something else, somewhere something else. Instead of that, when you're maintaining the database, the computerized one, same data format will be used in every place. Suppose you're entering data, so month, see there are some formats like DD, MM, YY. 2 digits for Y, 2 digits for month, 2 digits for date. This is a standard which will be set for that particular column. Next is data availability. Data availability means how can you access the data, when can you access the data. If your database is computerized, it can be accessed 24 by 7. Like any time, if you want the data to be accessed, it can be, because it is stored on a server, and if you have the login ID and password anywhere, in fact it's not like that you'll have to be there near the server only. In any place, if you are there at any place, you can access it, you can remotely log in and you can access the data. So it becomes easier to access the data if it is stored computerized. Next is, it reduces data redundancy. This is not in the case of the manual handling of data. If you're storing data in a computerized based database management system, obviously redundancy will be reduced to a greater extent. Redundancy means duplicacy of data. Like suppose I have allotted admission number 101 by 21 to one child, and if I'm maintaining these things manually, another admission was there and same admission number, there are chances that I'll be allotting the same admission number to another student also. But in database management system, there are some rules. So if you're trying to allot the same roll number, it will show you an error message. One warning will be displayed on the screen that you cannot allot admission number same. So data redundancy is reduced to a great extent. And if data redundancy is reduced, then data inconsistency will be minimized. This third and fourth points are related to each other. Data inconsistency means same information if you have stored differently in different registers. Like let me give you an example. One student is there who comes by bus number 4. Okay, but in one register his entry is bus number 4, in another one his entry is bus number 3. But when somebody accesses the data, so which bus number is correct, they will not come to know. Okay, so this is inconsistent data. Means you are not getting the correct information from the database. That is inconsistency of database. So if once the duplicacy of data is reduced, automatically the data inconsistency will be reduced. Last one is data concurrency. Data concurrency means at a same point of time, 2 to 3 users or more than that can access the same database without violating any rules. Okay, let me give you an example of railway reservation. Two persons are there who are going to book ticket for this for a same place, and there is only a single seat. But in case you are maintaining the database manually, there are chances that the single seat can be allotted to both the people for the same day, same time, same train, like that. But if you are using a database management system, this concurrency will be controlled. Means this allotment of seat of same seat to more than one person will be controlled. Next is ensuring data security. You will have username, password and all, and different types of authorization, and it will be provided accordingly. Like in a bank, a clerk may be having the authority to read the data. No modification authority is there with him, but the manager is having the authority to manipulate the data also. Next is backup and recovery management. In case of hard disk crash and all, recovery is possible. Nowadays we store the data on cloud also, so backup is there. We can recover the data easily from there. Next is types of database management system. Here, before proceeding, one more term I need to tell you: data servers. See, in most of the database management systems, we use client-server architecture. Like on a server, the entire database will be stored, and through different computers, which are known as clients, they will be accessing the data from there. So we have different types of database management system. First one is relational database management system. Second is hierarchical database management system. Then we have network database management system, and last one is object oriented database management system. Today I am going to tell you about relational database management system. As already told in the beginning, in relational database management system, multiple tables are created, and those tables are linked to each other based on common fields. So that example as I gave, that in one table you have stored roll number and name of the student, and another table you have roll number and his or her percentage. So roll number is the common field on which the database can be linked, the tables can be linked. And what will be the advantage? When you want the data to be fetched, retrieve the data from the database, based on that common field from both the tables, you can access the data at a single command. You don't have to access the data separately from both the tables. You can access it at a single click with the single command, since both the tables are linked to each other. Okay, so RDBMS provides the features to create, update and administer a relational database. This makes it easy to search and retrieve the data within the database and ensures the data integrity is maintained. The relational structure makes it possible to run queries across multiple tables at once, which I told, it is very easy to access, retrieve the data from multiple tables with a single command, but condition is that those tables should be linked to each other based on some common field. Some examples of RDBMS are Oracle, LibreOffice Base, MS Access, Sysbase, Sybase, MySQL and MS SQL. Okay. Next is what the concept of keys. Before we go through this relational database, we must know what are the different types of keys which are maintained in RDBMS or relational database management system. Keys, a key plays an important role in relational database. It is used for identifying unique records from a table. It also establishes a relationship among the tables. Based on this definition, let's start with the different types of keys. First one is primary key. See, when you're maintaining a computerized database, fields are required which uniquely identifies a record. Like in our school, in a class, if I'll see, every student, many Adityas are there, many any other name which is very common, like my name only, it's very common. So it's very difficult to identify by name. So we provide them roll number so that each and every student in my class will have a unique identification. If I'm saying roll number 5, that student only should stood up. But if two Adityas are there, I'm telling Aditya, both can stood up. So there should be some fields in the table which will be uniquely identify the database. But when you're maintaining the database at a larger level where the entire school is involved, so in every class roll number 1 is there, it cannot identify the student in the entire school. In that case, we'll have admission number which is unique for every child of our school. Okay, so primary key is a set of one or more fields that uniquely identifies each record in a table. Here, one thing you must know, that in a table, a single primary key can be there. And a primary key can be a combination of more than one field, but primary key will be alone only. Like you're using roll number plus name of the student as primary key. So this is a single key which is a combination of two fields of the database, but you cannot have multiple primary keys. Only a single primary key will be there. It does not contain any duplicate data. Duplicacy of data is not allowed. Admission number, single admission number to every child will be allotted. A table can have only one primary key, as I told. The value in the primary key field is different for every tuple. Tuple means for every record, the value of primary key will be different, and thus helps in uniquely identifying the records. So let's take one example of a data means a table where I'll be explaining it. Consider the following table. The name of the table is teachers info. Okay, in this table there are four columns: teacher ID, teacher name, teacher address, school name. Okay, out of these fields you tell me which field uniquely identifies every record. Obviously, it is the teacher ID. Name can be repeated, like two names are same, Rakesh, Rakesh Kumar. So which Rakesh I am talking about, it will be difficult. Address also is getting repeated, Noida, Noida. School name can also be repeated. So this is the only field which uniquely identifies every record in the table. So this can be treated as the primary key of the table. Okay. Next is which field can be a primary key. So we know that in a table multiple fields are there. So which field will have to means the primary key field should follow which rules. First is it should be unique. You all know that it should not be repeated. It should not be duplicated. It should be unique for every record. Another thing, you cannot leave it blank. Like while entering the teacher ID, means that the previous tables example, I cannot leave any column or any record or any field blank there. I'll have to enter their data. So it cannot be null. I can give 0, but I cannot leave it blank. Empty fields are not allowed in case of primary key. Another, the last one, which is related to foreign key. Here, if the table, this table which is containing the primary key is related to another table, we cannot update this primary key in this table unless or until modification is not there in the connected table. So these are the three rules which every primary key field will have to follow. Next is composite primary key. As I told that primary key can be combination of 2 to 3 fields. So that type of primary key where you have taken 2 to 3 fields as a combination, then that primary key will be known as composite primary key. Let me give you this example. We have a table where customer ID, product count, this table is there. In this table, one customer can order for multiple products. And in other words, we can say that a single customer can order for multiple products. So customer ID alone cannot become a primary key. Same is the case of product ID, because many products can be purchased by the same customer. Thus, the same customer can have multiple entries also. Similarly, column product ID alone cannot become a primary key, as the same product can be purchased by different customers. So both chances are there. See, in both the fields, the customer ID is also getting repeated and product ID is also getting repeated. In such cases, the combination of these two fields will be taken as the primary key, and in that case, this primary key will be known as the composite primary key. Okay, next is the example for this. We have entered the data and you will come to know the composite primary key. In the sales table, column customer ID alone cannot become a primary key, as many products can be purchased by the same customer. Thus, the same customer can have multiple entries. You can see 001 is repeated again here, 001. He has purchased product ID, P001 also and P003 also. Similarly, column product ID alone cannot become a primary key, as the same product can be purchased by different customers. As you can see, P001 is purchased by customer 001 also and 002 also. So a combination of these two will be used as a primary key. As you can see, customer ID plus product ID. Next is we have foreign key, very important, where on this key only we connect or combine two tables together. It is a field or set of fields that is used to establish a relationship between or relation between the two tables. It consists of one or more fields whose value matches with a primary key in another table. Basically, a foreign key in one table is used to point at a primary key in another table. It acts as a cross reference between the tables. So for explaining, very good example is given here. Suppose this is the table where roll number, name, address and contact is maintained, and another table again is there related to student only, where his or her percentage and grade is maintained. So in this table, roll number is the primary key, and based on this, in another table the data is stored roll number. Here again it has been taken. So in this table, since it is the primary key and these roll numbers only has been taken to this table. Why? This is the master table. Whatever student admissions are there, their entry has to be done in this table first. Then only their results will be maintained and their entries will be there in this table. So this table is directly related to this parent table. This is known as parent table and this one is known as child table. So primary key in one field taken as foreign key in another field. This is foreign key for child table and this is the primary key for parent table. Okay, so here the roll number field of student percentage table points to roll number field in the student table. Hence the roll number field is the primary key in student table and foreign key in the student's percentage table. This I'll show when practically again it will be told, now it will be more clearer, but this concept should be there in your mind. How tables are related to each other. One primary key in one table related to another column in another table. So that column will be known as the foreign key for the second table. And the first table is known as parent table and the second table is known as the child table. Then we have candidate key, very interesting one. Like in elections, many candidates are there for a single post and you have to choose one. So many candidates are there, out of that only one can be selected. Same is the case here also. Suppose in a table, many fields are there which are fulfilling the rules or fulfilling the conditions to become the primary key, but you are going to choose one. So many candidate keys are there and out of those only one can be the primary key. In other words, we can say that candidate keys are the different fields in a table which are eligible for becoming the primary key, but out of those candidate keys only one primary key can be selected. Let me read it for you. A table might have one or more fields that may uniquely identify the records or tuples. Such fields are called candidate keys as they are eligible to become a primary key. So example is also given here which you can read it from your book. So with this chapter is completed. We are completing the chapters in hurry because so vast syllabus for IT is there and we have to complete it on time. Along with this video, I'm going to send you the PDF of exercise which you need to write in your copies. So with this, I wind up the video and thank you and have a nice day.